Good evening. It is 5:30, so we're going to call the meeting of the City Council to order. We're going to start with the Board of Health agenda. Before we do that, I remind you to turn your cell phones to silent or vibrate, and then let's all stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Chris, would you take the roll, please?
Councilmember Dalby?
Here.
Councilmember Myers?
Here.
Councilmember Rowe?
Here.
Councilmember Berg?
Here.
Mayor Lazio?
Here.
Approve the minutes from meeting number 5 on August 3rd, 2021 as presented. Recommendation, approve the minutes.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
This is the time, place, and date set to consider condemnation of the structures on the property located at 238 North Moore in the city of Ottumwa, Wapello County, Iowa.
This is a public hearing, so we'll recognize Zach Simonson to give us a report. Zach, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. This property was placarded on June 18th, 2020 after a fire. In the intervening time, no one has submitted a repair plan, sought permission to be on the property, or made any effort to correct deficiencies with the building. It remains open to the elements and constitutes an attractive nuisance. Condemnation notice was served by certified mail, posting notice on the property, and publication in the Ottumwa Courier.
This is a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience that wants to address this issue, now is the time to step forward. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Give that to Bob and Mark.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Condemn the structures located at 238 North Moore, order prompt demolition, removal, and leveling of the lot, and direct all costs attendant to such actions, including administrative cost, to be assessed against the property and/or collected from the owner or owners thereof. Recommendation, approve the condemnation of the structures located at 238 North Moore.
Is
Your
there a motion?
recommendation is presented.
Second. Thank you. Any questions for Zach? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
This is the time, place, and date set to consider condemnation of the structures on the property located at 218 South Willard in the city of Ottumwa, Wapello County, Iowa.
Zach, you have the floor again.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. This property was placarded on September 24th of 2020 for a lack of utilities, unsanitary conditions. While there has been signs of continuous illegal occupation of the building, no one has actually sought permission, submitted a repair plan, or made any effort to correct the deficiencies. The city's had to perform a nuisance cleanup at the property and has had to issue several notices for squatters to vacate the property. The recorded owners have failed to appear for inspections, and the property remains in violation of the code. Condemnation notice was served by certified mail, posting on the building, and publication in the Ottumwa Courier.
This is also a public hearing. If there's anyone that wants to address this item. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second. Thank you, Holly.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Condemn the structures located at 218 South Willard, order prompt demolition, removal, and leveling of the lot, and direct all costs attendant to such actions, including administrative cost, to be assessed against the property and/or collected from the owner or owners thereof. Recommendation, approve the condemnation of the structures located at 218 South Willard.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for Zach? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
This is the time, place, and date set to consider condemnation of the structures on the property located at 306 East Park in the city of Ottumwa, Wapello County, Iowa.
Go ahead, Zach.
Thank you, Mayor. The Building and Code Enforcement Department, with assistance from the Police Department, executed a search warrant on this property on April 7th of 2021. The property was placarded on that day for electrical and mechanical deficiencies, lack of utilities, and illegal accessory buildings. On June 27th of 2021, the property suffered a significant fire, which constituted a total loss of the primary building on the lot. The fire damaged primary building and the derelict accessory buildings remain in violation of the code, and notice of the condemnation hearing was sent by certified mail, posted on the property, and published in the Courier.
This is also a public hearing. If there's anyone that wants to address this item, now's the time to step forward. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Condemn the structures located at 306 East Park, order prompt demolition, removal, and leveling of the lot, and direct all costs attendant to such actions, including administrative costs, to be assessed against the property and/or collected from the owner or owners thereof. Recommendation: approve the condemnation of the structures located at 306 East Park.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation is presented, Your Honor. Second.
Thank you. Any questions for Zach?
Zach, I was just wondering, I'm assuming there hasn't been any effort to do anything on the site since then?
No, there was a brief effort. One of the contract buyers was taking apart some aspects of the house and burning them on site. We did have to tell them that wasn't an appropriate way to demolish the structure. They kind of expressed that they weren't going to be able to afford taking everything to the landfill and doing it the right way. And there hasn't been any indication of anything since then.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, take the roll.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Zach, is there anything else that needs to come before the board?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, then I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the Board of Health.
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Matt.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
5:37. Okay. Okay, now I'd like to move into the regular meeting of the City Council. So will you take the roll again, please?
Councilmember Rowe?
Here.
Councilmember Myers?
Here.
Councilmember Burke?
Here.
Councilmember Dalby?
Here.
Mayor Lazio?
Here.
Open,
Go ahead.
open interviews with candidates wishing to fill vacant council seat. Recommendation: appoint preferred candidate following interviews or at the next regularly scheduled city council meeting.
Mayor, point of order.
Go ahead, Mr. Myers.
I would move that we appoint Rick Johnson to that open seat effective the first meeting in September.
Is there a second to that motion?
I will second that.
Okay, second is what, Mark? Any discussion?
Are we still going to go ahead with the interviews, Your Honor, or are we going to go ahead and take a vote?
Well, we have a motion on the floor and it's been made and seconded, so we should take the vote unless you want to have some discussion before that.
Well, I was talking about the interviews. We're going to bypass those and take a vote on appointing Rick Johnson.
Right.
Okay, okay, I just clarify.
Clarification?
Yep.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any questions for anybody on the motion? If not, then I would entertain the roll call.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
No.
Okay. Motion carries 3-1. Before we go any further, I do want to read a letter from Mr. Keith Cavanis. He sent this in dated August 16th. Dear Mayor Lazio and Administrator Rath, I was honored to put my name into nomination to fill a vacancy created when Councilman Skip Stevens resigned. It was a pleasure to speak to the council on some of my thoughts for the future of Ottumwa. I have been advised that I cannot serve on both the City Council and the Waterworks Board at the same time. On the Waterworks Board, we have the responsibility to create infrastructure to provide water to the citizens of Ottumwa. This infrastructure also helps in attracting new industry to the Ottumwa area. As much as I have served 6 years on the Waterworks Board and have been recently reappointed to an additional 6-year term, I feel my presence fulfills a great need. Therefore, I need at this time to withdraw from consideration for the City Council. Respectfully submitted, Keith D. Cavanis. So thank you, Keith, for your willingness to serve, and thank you for your letter.
Your Honor, can I make a comment? For
Sure.
the record? I just want to, for the record, express my disappointment in the process. I think we held up the last time in doing interviews and picking a candidate because we were going to give them the opportunity to do an interview session with us. That was my understanding, and even though we've taken the vote, just for the record, I want to put it down that's a little disappointing that we invite both candidates here to the council meeting tonight and then we fail to interview them. As one council member even made the point that we shouldn't have done last time. So just for the record, I would appreciate that going down in there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Mayor, also though, for the record, I would point out that the candidates were requested to turn in answers to questions, and I'm pretty sure all of us on the council did receive those statements, answers to questions and so forth, and they were pretty complete.
Your Honor, we should have misled the public then by putting it on the agenda. We would be having open interviews.
I would also thank the other 4 or 5 that did take the time to apply and really appreciate it. Okay, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I also would mention that city clerk did call all the candidates who had originally submitted their names and gave them a chance to be here tonight too. Okay, so we're at item B, the consent agenda. You want to go ahead, Chris?
Items on the consent agenda. Minutes from regular meeting number 23 on August 3rd, 2021 as presented. Approve appointment of Gabriel Alvarez to the position of probationary firefighter. Approve updated salary schedule effective July 1, 2021. Approve a memorandum of understanding between the City of Ottumwa, Wapello County for the 2021 JAG grant. Approve a revised 3-year lease agreement with Indian Hills Community College for the use of hangar at the Ottumwa Regional Airport. Approve a revised maintenance agreement between the City of Ottumwa and Indian Hills Community College to provide maintenance services for their aircraft. Resolution number 162, 2021, authorizing destruction of certain records according to the Code of Iowa 2017 as amended. Beer and/or liquor applications for front runners at 837 Church Street, temporary extended outdoor service area for 9/18 to 9/19, 2021. All applications pending final inspections.
Is there a motion?
I would make a motion that we approve, but I also have a question on item 3.
Okay. Is there a second first?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Myers, you have a question?
Okay, item 3, and I suppose this is to finance director. So this revised schedule, the first section talks about department heads, and so that's the recommendation based on salary, but not any benefits or anything like that. Is that correct?
So this is actually something I put
Oh,
on.
I'm
This
sorry.
is not through the finance.
I'm
This
sorry.
was, and I had put that in the staff summary, some of the changes that we had made. That first page, nothing changed from your previous in July.
Okay,
Nothing had changed from
but
that.
it is just salary. It's not that item-
Correct. That is only salary.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, if I could also then though, under general staff, general service employees, there is one referred to, oh, no, I'm sorry, it's back under directors. And it refers to directors of airport services.
Mhm.
And I was just not certain, is that Mr. Cobbler's position, or is that the other position?
It is not Mr. Cobbler's position.
Okay. All right, thank you.
As long as we're talking about salary schedule, I would like to ask our combination finance and human resources to do a comparative review of the clerk's position, going through the information that was sent in our packet. I think should be some review of comparability for department heads and see what that position is like with our 5 cities above us, 5 cities below us, and report back to the council at a future meeting. Doesn't have to be the next meeting, some future date. I think that one stands out as being just noticeably undervalued, and I think we should look at that and see if we need to make an adjustment on that. Any other questions before we go into the vote? Okay, so let's go ahead and take the roll.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Myers,
Yes.
Councilmember Burke,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, approval for the rest of the agenda tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve with the removal of item H4 from the agenda.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Bob. So we'll pull H4 and the rest will be the same as in the packet. Okay. Take the roll.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Myers.
Yes.
Councilmember Burke,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item D in our agenda, I'd like to call on City Administrator Phil Rath to give us an update on some of the things he's involved with. So Phil, you have the floor.
All right, thank you, Honorable Mayor. First thing on the agenda here is a sports facility update. I think the public is aware that as a community, we've been working towards trying to get an indoor sports complex for, I guess, close to 2 decades. And this is an effort that is still ongoing. There's a group is forming a Southeast Iowa Sports Commission, working on trying to make this this dream a reality. And recently, we've been talking about the American Recovery Plan Act dollars. The mayor and I had a session a couple weeks ago, and this was one of the things that had been brought up for the council to consider, to think about as the staff creates a list and brings it to you. Right now, currently, we're looking at, as a city, providing land. I think it's right now we're looking at an area in Sycamore Park for this to be placed. But there was a request, as the group is doing fundraising and other things, to consider the city maybe contributing with some of our other partners on that number that had been thrown out. And this is, of course, for us to look at and see if it is something we're able to get behind, is about $500,000 is what was requested initially. So that will, at some point, be coming before the council to have to make a decision, but it also will be tied in with the rest of the list that was created in the Thursday meeting that the mayor and I held, the numerous things that we already have from our capital planning that the city has that we need to be looking at, and also making sure that any of the requests that have come forward are consistent and in compliance with the rules and regulations of the dollars that we can spend. So that is just it is a project that's still in the works and still in the forefront, and just wanted to give a brief update on that.
Mr. Rath, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Could I, while you're on that one, though, could I ask you one question on it?
Sure.
It just struck me that they're asking 500,000, and I know others putting in a lot of money, and it's really a worthwhile project. But I guess for us to consider, last meeting, we talked about the plan being developed for the city, for Greater Ottumwa and area. So I just hope we keep in mind that will we need to put money into that also? And so consider that in what we might be able to offer also for the indoor facility.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what I was saying, was it will have to be looked at in terms of all of the priorities that we have, and identifying if this is a main priority for the city to be able to support that financially. I think we definitely support it, in spirit and everything else, but are we able to put any dollars behind it as well is a separate question. And that's also in line of other facility improvements, other capital projects, the numerous things that came out in the meeting that quality of life related, business related, economic development. So there is a number of things that we'll need to consider, and this is one piece of that puzzle.
Thank you.
Yep.
Just real quick, I think part of, there's definitely a fine line, or there's some gray area on what we can and can't use it for in terms of tourism versus, say, a swimming pool's not a qualifying thing, but something that draws tourism from a regional or multi-state is. So so just for the public's sake to know that when looking at the projects, there's very specific criteria that fit in on those different types of things, and roads and bridges are not included in what we can use those funds for.
Very
I just
good.
say that again.
A lot of infrastructure is not included. That is a very key point. I know we know it is a priority. It's a need in the city. These dollars specifically are not eligible for most of those things. So thank you, Councilwoman Berg. The second item on here is setting a date for a special work session. I'm looking at scheduling September 14th as a date to discuss City Hall remodel and HVAC. That was something that was presented a couple of meetings ago. The primary focus of that meeting was on the HVAC. I think there were 6 different possible solutions. Part of that, depending on which way we go, was also looking at the potential for a remodel of the space in City Hall as well. And so that would be a larger discussion than just one council meeting, I believe, or fitting within a council meeting. So wanted to look to have a special work session, and that'd be scheduled for September 14th. That would be open to council, the public, staff that have anything that may want to weigh in on. And finally, on here for the administrator's report, last Wednesday, we were pleased to make an announcement that the city and our partners, school district, Indian Hills, Legacy, GoPIP, the hospital, we're pleased to say that we did outreach to try to get a company in to be able to provide fiber to the home across the city. And last Wednesday, we made the announcement that the group that came in was going to be MCG out of Oskaloosa. They're looking at a start date late 22, early 23, and about a 3 year would be great, a 3-year build out to have fiber to the home across the whole city. So we're excited that we're going to be able to increase our capability of internet wireless access, and that is going to be able to help us continue to build. One thing I didn't have on here, just as another point, the census numbers came out recently, and we were able to increase our population by 506 people over the last 10 years. There are similar sized cities in the state that saw a decrease. So I'm pleased to announce we're now the 18th largest city in the state. And projects like this are going to be able to continue to maintain and grow that population.
Very good.
Thank you.
I just want to comment, the committee that did the work on the broadband had a number of technical people on that committee, and I think gave us great insight and a lot of guidance as we did that. And we had our own Edward Wilson, we had Corey Lamb from Indian Hills, we had Landon Allen from the high school, and Scott Garrett from Ottumwa Regional. So those 4 tech people provided some great resources to the community committee, and I think it was a big help to have their input. So thanks for all the help with that. Item E on the agenda, we always give citizens a chance for input. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak to the council on an item on the agenda? Seeing none stepping up, let's move to item F.
Beach party birthday party fees. Recommendation: approve the fee increase for birthday parties at the beach Ottumwa.
We have with us, is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. We have with us Gene Ratchey, our Parks Director. So Gene, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. The current fees for birthday parties at the beach Ottumwa are $90 for an indoor party and $105 for an outdoor party. The fees should be increased to $100 for an indoor party and $125 for an outdoor party. There were 122 indoor birthday parties at the beach in the past year and 59 outdoor parties. These fee increases will result in an additional $2,400 in revenue for the beach Ottumwa. These fee increases were approved by the Ottumwa Parks Advisory Board at the meeting on August 10th, 2021.
Okay. Any questions for Gene?
Gene, I just have one quick question. How do these rates compare to some of the regional aquatic facilities, the new rates?
They're comparable or maybe slightly lower than some of the other area aquatic facilities and really other organizations that provide birthday parties. But really it boils down to supply and demand in the marketplace.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question, Mayor.
Good.
Gene, Boy, it's great to see the facility used that much and for the parties and such. But I wondered, based on the size of the group coming in, do you then have to adjust how many lifeguards for liability purpose? Well, for safety.
We don't have to add more lifeguards based on the size of the group coming in unless it's a big event with, let's say, more than 500 people there. For example, a large rental. Let's say a local business has a large rental or a company picnic there, then we might add an additional lifeguard. But usually we have 9 on duty no matter what.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Myers,
Yes.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby.
Yes.
City Tree Service Contractor Bid. Recommendation: approve the bid from Jerry's Tree Service for $110 per hour for tree removal to speed up the removal of dead, deceased, and dangerous trees in the city right-of-way.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented, Your Honor.
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead, Gene.
The city of Ottumwa desires to hire a second tree service contractor to speed up the removal of dead, diseased, and dangerous trees in the city right-of-ways in Ottumwa. On July 14th, 2021, a bid was received from Maple Valley Tree Service for $250 per hour. This bid was rejected on advice from the finance director. On July 29th, 2021, a bid was received from Jerry's Tree Service for $110 per hour. If approved, the contractor will begin work on September 1st, 2021, and work for a maximum of 2 years. There is $100,000 budgeted in the current capital improvement program budget for tree removal.
Any questions for Gene?
Gene, how many trees, since this is a second tree service, how many trees are you estimating that still need to come down in the city?
Well, just on my current list, there are still at least 45 trees in the city right away that need to be removed. And I'm guessing there are at least twice that many just on the streets that need to be removed. Plus, at a place like Memorial Park, we have at least another 50 to 60 dead trees that need to be removed.
Are
So,
these ash trees or something? Is that the reason that we have so many dead ones?
Yeah, the majority of the trees are ash trees that were killed by the emerald ash borer.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Ready to vote? Take the roll.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Myers,
Yes.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby.
Yes.
Approve the appointment of Jay Wheaton to the full-time position of Airport Facilities Manager for the city of Ottumwa. Recommendation: approve the appointment of Jay Wheaton to the full-time position of Airport Facilities Manager effective August 30th, 2021.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mark. We'll recognize Human Resource Director Barb Kojo. Barb, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, council. We were notified that our current airport manager was going to be retiring at the end of September. So when that retirement was announced, we worked with city administrator, myself worked with our director of airport operations to assess our business needs and look at the job description. We revised that job description, kind of added some duties, reorganized some things, and created the airport facilities manager. Looked at that position and also made it an exempt position. So given the duties that were there, they fit the qualifications to become an exempt position within the city. And so we posted the position, did the interviews, and we selected Jay Wheaton as our candidate to go into that position. This will also he will also have an increased responsibility as we added the airport line technician, which was a position that was going through Supreme staffing that we are now bringing in-house. So there will be additional responsibility there with personnel management. Jay's been out of the airport for many years and he's brought a lot of experience to this. Our intention is to put Jay into the position at the end of August to allow for a couple of weeks for him to cross-train with our outgoing airport manager before he goes on vacation and then comes back for a little bit prior to his retirement.
Any questions for Barb?
I just have one. It's my understanding that the salaries will be step increased. Is that correct?
Correct.
So what are the deliverables to for him to attain that next salary step?
Once it's approved tonight, that's something that city administrator and myself are going to sit and work with our director of airport operations. And there are going to be 6-month deliverables as well as 1-year deliverables. And once those have been completed, then that Jay would get those step increases. We don't have those yet, but that's something that we are working on.
Okay.
They would be specific job performance related deliverables, things that were identified, if there's any gaps and things that we would want for the position to have. And so once we identify any of those things, they'd work towards that. If they satisfactorily completed at the 6 months, they would get the step increase. And then again, after the second amount.
So if I could ask a question too, with this change in personnel and with our new airport services director, Mr. Ball, who's going to do the economic development part of that? Is that going to be him? Is that going to be Hvac? Is that going to be a combination? Have we thought that through in terms of how we're going to organize that?
Yeah, so Jay would have the on-site look at, knowing what was out there, the facilities manager, knowing the lay of the land and all of that part. But we will have to look at that between Hvac, myself, our attorneys, to kind of pick up some of that other aspect. We've also been looking at, two different angles on this. Looking at somebody else maybe coming in to help marketing with the properties out there. And I think there'd be some aspect of that. Working with GoPip, they had somebody taking a look at that. And then also on the city side, we were looking at an entity as well. So it wouldn't fall solely on the shoulders. We're still going to have to look to backfill the position for Jay. And we'll continue to look at how this airport evolves, what the needs are out there. And that was one of the things, as HR Director Kojo had mentioned. We talked with Duke, who had the boots on the ground, to see what it was that he has, since he started in March, what those needs are and what he forecasts the needs in the future to be for this position. This is what is going to be the best right now. And then also looking at what are we looking at going forward. So we had prior, you had 2 and a part-time employees out there focusing basically just on the airport facilities and the building itself, helping with some of the economic development and those things, the meetings and that part. And then the FBO was contracted out. They had 1 full-time person out there, the 3 line technicians and office support staff in the background. When we brought Duke on, we have the 3 line technicians. We have what we're able to provide from the office support, but we also picked up maintenance of aircraft, and we're about to start flight instruction as well. So we're picking up additional duties on top and currently haven't added any more staffing.
Very good.
Mayor, if I may, and I think, Mrs. Kojo, part of what I remember as some discussion was prior to you coming on board. So I guess I would direct this more at Administrator Rath. But, I hear you say that you had some discussion, but I don't see a job description. And I think we have known for months that Mr. Cobbler had planned to resign, to retire in September. But several of us had questions as to, okay, even in Mr. Cobbler's position, what exactly do you do? And I know I've been out there and I was told that now the person that we rent land to that does the haying and so forth, they do some of the mowing that we used to have to do. I also understand that, or wondered, where if part of this person's job is to go around and check on lease areas that we lease, to do those types of things. Couldn't a lot of that today be done through technology? And then I know, Mr. Rath, when I asked you some of these questions, you mentioned, well, they need to go around and check. And again, I'm short a job description which really details what we would do for that position if in fact with Duke on board and the various things you mentioned, you look at the hourly rate that we're recommending here, and then you do add the compensations that they deserve, and it's a considerable salary again. So did we develop a job description to go from, or are we again just filling a position with someone that's there?
Every position that we have, we've done a job description for, and it's something that, again, we sat and we worked through what was existing, because we do have job descriptions for every existing position. But we did make adjustments to that. We've added some things to that. And that was actually what was posted when we did post the job. So the job has been posted on Facebook. It was posted on our city website. It was also posted on Indeed and LinkedIn. And that job description went along with that, of giving specific responsibilities as well as additional responsibilities, competencies, all of those things like that.
And one of the other key things with this too was it moved from an hourly position to a salary position or an exempt position. And that was part of what is in there. So it is showing as an hourly rate in the staff summary, but that is also saying there is no overtime. So you had the hourly position plus any overtime that was there before. And we looked at that to see what was the average overtime for the positions out there when there's snow and you're coming in, when there's weekend events, whatever it might be. And so this is becoming a salary position that is looking at that as part of that compensation as well. So there wouldn't be the overtime going forward. There would be just this wage.
Okay, so I guess, Mrs. Kojo, what you're saying, I should have been able to follow what you advertised, and I would have had a better idea.
And we can provide you that job description. I mean, it's not a,
little late now.
Well, I believe we all got emailed a summary of all of that description a couple of weeks ago from Mr. Rath last week. Yeah, there was a summary with all of that in it on what that outlined.
Okay.
and I guess if that's something too, that prior to, because the general practice has not been that council approves every job description. I mean, that's something I think, and I mean, we could default to mayor that if that is the route that you all would like to go, I mean, that would be up to the council to decide if you would like to approve every job description prior to it being posted.
It isn't a point of every. Yeah, and, I'll be quiet just a second. And if the rest of the council doesn't have any problem with this type of thing surfacing again, then it's just me, and that's okay.
I guess
But-
it wasn't surfacing to me because it was posted and it was advertised and we received an email summary. So I guess to me, it wasn't sprung upon us. It was all out there.
Okay, if I could finish, Holly. What I'm saying though, is my concern, Holly, is that this is not a new, I'm not bringing this up tonight as a new item, I don't think. For this particular position, there has been questions as to, we pay for 2.5 people out there, 2.5 positions right now. And with the other alignment, with the other additions, is there some way that it could be refined? And so maybe I missed that. And as I said, if the rest of council has no problem with it, then I'm fine.
We did look at it and I mean, based on the responsibilities that are out there and the direction that we want the airport to go, that's why we redid the job description. It was noted before it was an airport manager. It's now an airport facilities manager. So, I mean, there is some difference there as far as the expectations and the responsibilities. And that is all laid out in that job description, which that is absolutely something we can get to you.
Yeah. Well, the only thing, Holly, I'd throw back at you, and you're saying that we could have read all this. In the material I have in front of me, it's based on an hourly rate. And there is no statement that says, but based on this hourly rate, there's a set 40 hours that I recall reading. Maybe it's there.
It talked about being exempt.
Exempt.
Yeah,
All right.
it says that.
Okay, thank you.
In that the salary schedule, and that was the reason that we moved it from one
Okay.
pay grade to the other, and that explanation was in there. We moved it from the one pay grade to the next pay grade because we made it an exempt position, which would become salary. Unfortunately, the way that our system is set up, it's all just an hourly rate, but it is a exempt salary position.
And that would be consistent with the other supervisors that we have in this step pay schedule that is consistent with that. Because we had talked about, do we pull this out and have that in the first part of that with the other exempt positions? But by the type of position it was, it fit better with those other supervisory type positions. And I appreciate the conversation we're having here. That was one of the reasons why I suggested having this not in the consent agenda, but as a recommendation, so we could have more of a robust conversation on this. It is a little different, and we have had the conversations about we want to explore. If we have a vacancy come open, how are we going to look to fill that? And the HR Director Kojo and I did just that. We had several conversations with Duke out there to see what the needs were. Like I said, currently and looking ahead, going forward. And this is the type of position right now and in the near future that we need to have. And Jay is qualified to fill that position. Thank you.
Okay, we've had good discussion. There's a motion and second on the floor. You ready to vote? Take the roll, please.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Myers,
No.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-1.
Resolution number 163, 2021, approving change order number 1 and change order number 2 and accepting the work as final and complete for the Water Pollution Control Facility Concrete Repairs Project. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 163, 2021.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Good evening, Larry. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This project consisted of removal of all the deteriorated concrete and replacing with new horizontal, vertical, and overhead concrete repairs in the primary clarifier and the VLR aeration basins. Change order 1 decreased the contract amount by $5,216.36 of contract quantity adjustments. Change order 2 increased the contract amount by $700 for a gate repair. The new contract sum is $80,163.64. The contractor has completed the above referenced work according to the plans and specifications, and upon approval, the council will accept the project and authorize final payment and release of all retainage.
Any questions for Larry? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Myers,
Yes.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby.
Yes.
Resolution number 164, 2021, approving submission for a REAP grant to fund a multi-use trail from Richmond Avenue and Ferry intersection to Greater Ottumwa Park project. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 164, 2021.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead, Larry.
This project will provide a safe route from the residential areas south of Greater Ottumwa Park system, paralleling Ferry Avenue and Wapello Street. The project will start at the Richmond Avenue Ferry intersection and connect to the Greater Ottumwa Park. It is part of the Ottumwa Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan developed and approved by City Council on November 21st of 2017. Wapello County Trails Council, in conjunction with the City Engineering Group, developed a REAP grant to expand the trail system in Ottumwa as detailed in the attached REAP project narrative and grant application. This is 100% not to exceed $150,000 grant program. The city will provide the design, permitting, construction management, and construction observation in-kind services. We have a short video just to kind of give you an idea where it's located. See if the laser works. Yeah, it's not bright enough. Basically starts, oh, there you go. We'll start a trail here, and it'll follow all the way along, loop around the Albia Wapello Street Extension roundabout, follow the forest slope, and then turn into the park system. Currently, there is no pedestrian safe route there other than right in with the traffic. This is an opportunity to apply for the grant, depending on what other grants come in later this month.
And just to reiterate, it's 100% covered.
Up to 150,000.
Underground, yeah.
The estimate is 149. We looked at those numbers from last year. And again, we've got a couple grants in play. We'll know next week, I believe, on one of them that we applied for some time ago. But we just wanted to have an option in order to connect this corridor. It's been a high priority to try to get some sort of route into the park system from the south side residential areas.
Do you have to put any kind of fencing or anything since you're so close to the roadway there? It looks pretty narrow right there where the red car is.
No, the path itself would be actually on the fore slope. It would be down about right here.
Okay.
There is no physical barrier between it. Very similar to what we have along the levee and then along the 34 bypass. The only difference is the length of the fore slope before you get to the existing path.
Okay. Any questions for Larry? Okay, take the roll.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Myers.
Yes.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby.
Yes.
Resolution number 165, 2021, approving professional services agreement between the City of Ottumwa and Garden and Associates LTD for the Richmond Avenue Pump Station Pressure Main. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 165, 2021.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Holly. Okay, go ahead, Larry.
This agreement provides for the design and the bid phase services, including preliminary site survey for design purposes, plan development, specifications, phasing, IDNR permitting, and shop drawing review. During construction of the Phase 5 sewer separation project, it was determined that the existing force main installed in 1951 was approaching the end of its useful life. As part of the Phase 5 project, a new 16-inch force main was installed between Richmond Pump Station and a trunk sewer at the intersection of Milner and Finley. The outfall end of the new line has been connected as part of the Milner Street reconstruction project, and this design will allow for the connection of the station end and prevent future emergency repairs while increasing line capacity. Once plans and permitting have been completed, we'll proceed with letting.
Any questions for Larry? Okay, hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Myers,
Yes.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby.
Yes.
Resolution number 167, 2021, approving supplemental agreement number 2 between the City of Ottumwa and Garden and Associates LTD for additional professional engineering services for construction surveying for the Woodland Avenue reconstruction project. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 167, 2021.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Go ahead, Larry.
The City of Ottumwa entered into a professional service agreement with Garden and Associates at November 5th of 2019 for the design and bid phase services, including the preliminary site survey and design purposes for Woodland Avenue reconstruction project. Supplement agreement number 2 consists of additional professional services for construction staking for the cross-country sewer, the storm sewer, and the pavement layout. The estimated cost for the agreement is $16,000 based on a standard hourly rate. This will increase the contract by $16,000.
Any questions for Larry? As I recall, this was something you came across as you were doing the work on Woodland and additional.
Yeah, the first change order, we encountered a cross-country sewer line that hadn't been mapped, and we extended the project approximately 300 feet. That was the paving portion. Under change order 1, this actually provides for the actual layout of all the construction.
Thank you, Larry. Any other questions or comments? Take the roll.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Myers,
Yes.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby.
Yes.
Resolution number 168, 2021, approved change order number 4 for the Blake's Branch Sewer Separation Phase 8 Division 1 project. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 168, 2021.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead, Larry.
Change order 4 will provide compensation to the contractor for separating the combined sewer on Locust Street between Birch and Cherry Street, separating the combined sewer on 2nd Street between Birch and Cherry, deleting some storm sewer manholes, and installing an 8-inch diameter, 19-inch, 90-degree bend on Plum Street, adding storm sewer intakes on an alley north of Hain Street, and adding 4- and 6-inch storm sewer pipe to connect storm leaders to the new storm system. Change order 4 increases the contract amount by $271,398.62. New contract sum is $12,154,777.25.
Okay. Any questions for Larry? Appreciate your showing all the funding sources and the information contained in the,
I will add one thing. Originally, when we designed this, we were going to leave those side streets off and come back later and do smaller projects and pave and separate. But as we're doing our flows and evaluation, we want to pull the flow off now, and then later on we'll come in with street replacements.
no further questions? We're ready to vote. Take the roll.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Myers.
Yes.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby.
Yes.
We always give citizens a chance to make comments about any business for the city. Is there anybody that wants to make any comments about anything pertaining to city business? Yes, step up and identify yourself.
Rick Johnson, and I would just like to thank the council and the mayor for showing support and letting me serve the citizens of Ottumwa in this new capacity. I'm very excited, and I will work very hard to prove myself and make sure that you don't regret the decision you made this evening. So just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Petitions and communications, couple things. As you know, we're right in the throes of the World Series, the Babe Ruth 14-year-olds, and I want to recognize publicly Andy Wartenberg from the Convention and Visitors Bureau and Laura Carell, his assistant, for an outstanding job on organizing and the details they put into this. But I'd also like to recognize Tim Ash, president of the Babe Ruth here locally, and his ground crew. They have just done a great job with the fields, and they're getting a lot of use this week. Sonia Larkin, who is a parent volunteer, has really stepped up to the plate. We've had some issues come up, and she's just been outstanding. So again, we couldn't do this, and I say the grounds crew, people at the concession stand. I've been at most of the games and heard nothing but very complimentary things from the people who are attending. And so it just goes to show we need to have a village to get this project done, and it's going very well. Our kids are doing very well. They lost one last night, but they're standing 2-1, and hopefully we'll get into the championship series and be able to finish strongly. Secondly, I was at the Iowa, Missouri Ford Motor Club car show this past weekend. And I think we should again recognize Sam Saffel and Cheryl Lynn Westridge, who organized and took the major responsibility for that. We had an outstanding 2-day conference. I want to thank Fred Zessinger for helping with the movie night that he provided for the people there at Jimmy Jones Shelter. Heard again lots of great comments from people who are attending. We had people from all over the Midwest there, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Nebraska, Minnesota, you name it. And just a great show of support. And our Jimmy Jones Shelter is a great facility with that field right next to it. And the park department should get a compliment too for the grounds. They were really in good shape. Also want to mention that we did receive a letter from a local resident. We had a very unusual sinkhole in the month of July, and it really was a sewer break that caused some problems, and the public works crew went out and repaired the sewer, fixed the area, did some excavating and groundwork, came back and cleaned up and ran the street sweeper. And we don't often get those kinds of compliments from our citizens, but it was just an outstanding letter from Richard Gomer, who, as most of you know, is a local attorney, and I think we appreciated his positive comments to the crew. So I hope you'll pass that on, Larry, to all the public works people. Today, Phil Rath and I had the opportunity to participate in the back to school event held at the high school. We should really be excited. We have 51 new teachers coming into our school system, and Superintendent McGrory did a great job of welcoming and encouraging them and giving a lot of support to our veteran teachers as well as our new teachers. But they were so excited to be here and they chose many of them to come here. They had offers all over the Midwest, and I think it was really encouraging to see such enthusiasm and positivity and just a great sense of wanting to be here teaching kids. So it's been a great day, and I think a lot of good things going on here in the community, and there should be some more announcements coming up very shortly. So, Phil, is there anything else from your point? Anything that we've missed? Council, anything from you?
Yeah, Mayor, if I may, Portson Company and Public Works, I understand that Market on Main did open this afternoon. And wow, to realize there was a problem and then everybody to work together to get it straightened out. A little more patience apparently required, but it's moving in the right direction, I think. So, thanks.
Okay. If there's no other city business, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Myers,
Yes.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It's 6:25.